So good morning, everybody. Welcome to 15 Minutes with Lori. I am going to share my screen here. We're going to be reviewing we're going to get back to the contract. And we're just going to start from the beginning and we're going to work through it. So each Monday, we're going to go through a little bit of the contract each time. And if anybody has any questions or scenarios that they want to bring in, please feel free to do so. Even if you've been in the business for a long time, it's a good thing to continue to go through the contract so you can fully and completely understand it. Good morning, Mark.
Hello.
So before we get started, I did go to a broker forum with SLAR on Thursday, and Cameron from Maris was there, and he shared some things that I thought that you guys probably should know. You know how the contracts read selling broker, which we know seller's broker is working for the seller and selling broker works for the buyer. There's been too much confusion, not only with agents, but also with buyers and sellers understanding who they're talking about. They're going to be changing the selling broker back to buyer's broker. So that change will come on our contract July 1st. And there's going to be about 24 forms that will be affected. There's really not much you need to know other than they're changing the term selling broker back to buyer's broker. So it'll be a little bit easier. Maris is going to make that change in mid-April. Morning, Sharon. It's okay. So the Maris is going to make their change mid-April, and they're changing again from selling broker to buyer's broker. So everyone needs to be aware of that. And then July 1st, the new forms will be coming out. So let's go ahead and start with the contract. As everyone knows that these contracts are put together by the association, by the Bar Association of Metropolitan St. Louis, and they're to be exclusively used by realtors. So if you have a friend or a family member who says, hey, can I have a copy of your contract? Absolutely not. We cannot share these documents. You have to be a realtor to use them, okay? These contracts do have legal consequences, and if your client does not understand it, then they probably need to consult with an attorney. It is up to you to explain it. If they don't understand it, though, they need to get legal advice on understanding it, okay? Does anybody have any questions about that? And lastly, none of the contract can be altered in any way. You may use the special agreement section. What is that, paragraph 21, I think? You can use the special agreement section to make changes throughout the contract, but no crossing out, things like that. We cannot modify the contract in any way in that manner. Looks like we have somebody in the chat. Okay, thank you, Sparkle. Yes, Sparkle is excited that they're changing it. So, okay, so the date of the contract is reference only. Okay, this date on the front of the contract is reference only. As we know, the effective date is always the last signature on any document that we have. So not just the residential sale contract, but let's talk about the listing and the buyer's exclusive agency contracts. If your buyer signed, but the managing brokers haven't signed, it is not effective. All parties must sign for it to be effective. I think Mark can probably relate to this, but we've been seeing contracts accepted, but the managing broker had never signed the buyer's exclusive agency or the listing contract. Therefore, it was not effective. That's a problem. Okay. You can amend changing your effective date, but you cannot just change it, because we had one the other day come through where we had the listing and we received a contract on it. That listing agreement was never sent to me to sign. So the agent sent it to me. She added my name and had me sign it. But when she added my name, it wiped out the other signatures. So we did not have an effective listing contract. So therefore, that's problematic. So just amend it, don't just change it. Mark, do you have any comments on that?
Unfortunately, we do see that frequently, and same thing with the contracts and striking through. And we have other, not necessarily in our company, but other companies where they strike through, like in paragraph 2, or if they're trying to make it appealing, they strike through on the paragraph on inspections that they're not going to ask for anything. And we try and explain it to them. You can't do that, but they're with other companies. They don't necessarily listen.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. And unfortunately, sometimes other companies just aren't aware of what they can and can't do. Way back when I started, we did cross things out and everyone initialed it, but we can't do that anymore. That's why we have an amendment to use. There's something in the chat. It says, I had a client who requested that each item in paragraph 2 have a strike through on the items that the property does not have in it. How does your suggest overcoming this request? So I'm going to give you a good example of why you should not cross anything out there. Okay. And I'm going to read through that paragraph in a minute. But whenever we first changed our contracts to have numerous things written out that could, if they are in the property, they stay in the property, right? So an agent from another company had crossed things out. They did not cross out trash compactor. The property closed. There was never a trash compactor in the home. That agent had to go out and buy a trash compactor to have installed into the home. Yes, very big agent too. So that's a reason why you wouldn't want to, because if you miss something, it could fall back on you. But I'm going to go ahead and read the paragraph in just a minute. But as we all know, in paragraph 1, parties and property. So however the buyers are going to take title. So, are they going, you need to know their full name, their legal name, and their middle initial, if that's what they choose to have on their title. Okay. If they are single individuals, you need to make sure that you have the full name of the first one and the full name of the last one. Okay. If it's going to be an LLC, you need to get a copy of the articles of the corporation and make sure that who's going to sign that contract is the one who is going to be signing and that you're actually consulting with as well. Okay.
Hey, Lori,
and then, yes.
Besides the articles of incorporation, they need an operating agreement. That's where it spells out who can sign.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. So the operating agreement, is that what you said, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, and then also, if they're going to take title in a trust, there's a lot of people out there now who are having trust. So they may want to put it in the name of their trust. So you're going to need a copy of that trust also. And how that trust, the title is actually written out is on that trust. So you got to make sure you have a copy of that. Okay. And then don't forget that you do need to fill out line 3 where it says municipality. Regardless if it's incorporated or not, look at the tax records. Whatever the tax records state, we need to put in there. The tax records, the municipality is not always the same as the mailing address. So a Caldwell Baker Premier Group Big Bend office, we are located in Richmond Heights, but our address is St. Louis. So you've got to make sure that you have the correct municipality in there. If it's unincorporated, write in unincorporated, none, whatever it says on the contract. Don't leave any lines blank, please, okay? The county of that, don't go off of what the client states, because believe it or not, there are some people who are not 100% sure because the line is so close. Tax records will show what county it's in, okay? Then you need to add on line 5, the full address, the number, the city, the state, and the zip code. The number, city, state, and zip code, the full address goes on every document that you fill out, and get in the habit of writing it out. If we just say 123 Main Street, it's going to come back to you saying that it needs to be fixed with an amendment, okay? So does anybody have any questions about paragraph 1?
Or I have one quick question. I'm sorry.
Hang on just a minute, Sharon. Yes, Sparkle.
So on the line, on the address line, do we also have to put the 4-digit the 4-digit extension zip code on that line as well?
Not required, but you can if you want to. It's not required though.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then, okay, thank you.
So I have Sharon, new agent Sharon James in my office with me, and she asked, what if they're divorced? So if they are divorced or they are getting it.
If there's no divorce, because as somebody who's divorced, I had to produce my divorce decree minutes after, years after.
Okay. So typically in a divorce, there might be a quick claim deed for one or the other party to take
No, they don't
over.
own any interest. I just had to prove
Prove that.
it was separate. from
Okay.
sex.
Okay. Yeah. And that might be.
Okay.
That could very well be.
But there could be a situation where we have to answer that.
I have not seen.
Okay.
So the question is, has anybody been asked if the parties are divorced, if a divorce decree needed to be presented? Has anybody come across that?
Yes, and yes.
When they're
Okay.
selling,
Yes, selling.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Josie, what kind of situation did you have?
I can't remember if it was selling or buying, but I just remember that they were divorced and they had to produce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To the buy and to the sell.
that's right.
in
Yeah,
marriage.
absolutely. Okay. All right. So let's go over paragraph 2 real quick because we got about 2 minutes left. Inclusions and exclusions. This contract, not the seller's disclosure statement, the MLS, or promotional material, provides what is to be included in the sale. To avoid any misunderstanding, the parties are urged to list as included or excluded any items which may be subject to question or unclear to be considered a fixture, such as electronic equipment. By the way, that could be a Ring camera also. The purchase price includes all existing improvements of the property, if any, and appurtenances, fixtures, and equipment, which seller guarantees to own free and clear, including. So the items between lines 12 and 27 are to be included if they're in the home. Okay. So I would explain to any buyer or seller that it is going to be if they're in the home. And if there's anything that they want excluded, they're going to put on line 30. Anything included is going to go on line 28. And whenever something is going to be excluded, be very specific about what's going to take place and who's going to remove it. Because agents have gotten themselves into trouble by not writing it up correctly. So it needs to be seller at seller's expense to remove the hot tub within 4 days, prior to 4 days before closing. That way we know who's doing it, if there's an expense, who's paying for it, and when it has to be done by. There could be things like removing something from a wall. It's got to be tape, putty tape, painted. So there's a lot of different things that we could get creative with. If you have questions about it, reach out to the managers and we can help you with that. Included a refrigerator. Think about what refrigerator it is. A lot of people have them in the garage, in the basement. If you just say refrigerator, they might just leave one and it might be the oldest one, or they may remove all of them and put an old one in. So we always have to be specific about that. Mark, is there anything else you'd like to share?
just remember too that, if the house is, has propane, when you're writing the contract, you need to verify if the propane tank is leased or owned. If it's owned, you need to put that as included in the contract.
Very good. That's a great reminder. I'm assuming there was a situation you recently had, maybe?
It's been a while, but it worked out. But they do need to make sure that it's if it's owned, that they check that as included.
Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay. Well, everybody, happy Monday. Have a great day. And Wednesday at 9 o'clock, we're going to talk AI. Don't be scared of AI. We're going to talk about it, why it's a good thing. We'll see you all later. Have a great day.
It's just the smarter.